All right, so we are recording. Okay, so this is our Taxonomy Tuesday. It's basically a show and tell. Everyone is invited to show off the mushrooms that they have been finding. We do this either by sharing our screen and showing our mushrooms from our own computers, or some people choose to email their mushrooms to me and then I can show them from my computer. I do have mushrooms from 4 or 5 people that have emailed me. We get a running queue going, so we just go in order of whoever signed up first. So if other people would like to share mushrooms that they have tonight, please type your name into the chat and I'll just get a list going and call on you as we go. And if somebody could please type the names of the mushrooms that we're talking about into the chat, it makes it a lot easier for people to learn. So again, tonight is supposed to be like member finds for the month of March. And I guess we're ready to go. So who wants to go first? Is there anybody that has mushrooms they want to share from their own computer first? I'm not hearing from anybody, so I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen. And I only have a handful of mushrooms from other people. I suspect that not a lot of mushrooms have been found yet this year. But Marisol was the first one to email me. So Marisol, would you like to start us out today?
Yeah.
All right, from the top?
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny that on your screen, the names come backwards by the common name. In my screen, I don't do that, but it's okay.
It must be the way my settings are set in here.
Yeah, it's so funny because I never go for the common names. Okay, so Nina showed, I think a few days ago, she showed this little tiny mushroom that is confused with a slime mold. I don't really know too much about it, but I have found it a few times, mostly on beach. But I found it on oak and hornbeam, which is related to beech. And when you find it, it's not just 1 or 2, it's troops of them. And it's really, really tiny. I haven't done the micro of it yet, but it's pretty interesting. It looks like little matches or lollipops. And it's Basidium Simile.
It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's called Phleogena Virginia. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm writing the name down for myself.
Dead trees.
Dead trees? Yeah,
I found it on a standing dead hornbeam and then on huge fallen beech trees and oaks. The Smithfield, where I go most of the time, it's a mature forest. So the beech trees and the oak trees are humongous.
So tell me, can you say it again? I didn't quite catch. How big are these?
These Phleogena are really tiny, like a slime mold, a little bigger than a slime mold. But when you find always troops of them. And when it's younger, the head is whitish and it matures to that color. But I don't know anything else about microscopy or anything else.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And those these mushrooms that I am showing to you are from 2018 and 17. This is the Fulvifomes robiniae, and it grows exclusively on black locust. This one was really high up on a tree, so I had to zoom it to bring the image close. It's probably like 35 centimeters wide, and the spores kind of dyed the wood below it. It parasitizes black locust, and then when the tree dies, it becomes saprobic. So it changes the way it's growing on the tree. So it starts growing like on the side of the cap. This one was found in 2017 in March.
What is this genus now called?
Fulbiformes.
There you go, right there.
Fulbiformes, yeah, Robinii. It used to be called Felinus Robinii.
That I knew. I had heard it had changed the genus, but I didn't know what to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, some people also call it the cracked cap polypore. This one is from March 2018. And in my area, in Burlington County, here in New Jersey, I found this in so many places. And this year I found it in February or March. There were so many caps. It was incredible how they were on top of the long dead tree. They like deciduous trees. This one is like wild cherry or something like that. And it stains the wood.
Maricel,
Mm-hmm.
if you could save me those caps, I'd be really appreciative.
Oh, okay, I will. Mm-hmm.
They're perfect for mushroom paper.
Okay. Do they give any color or not at all?
Oh no, they keep the color. It's nice orange paper.
Oh, okay, I will.
They're not any good for dyeing wool, pretty much. It's a weak yellow.
Okay, yeah.
They're always a beautiful mushroom to see.
This is gorgeous. Yeah.
Striking.
This one, all of the ones that I'm showing to you, I found them in the same place, 3 or 4 of them. So this one is Rhabdomyces copelandii, which is an invasive from Asia. And I always find it so gorgeous, so beautiful. And I think the tips are kind of burned by cold weather. Maybe, yeah, some nights were too cold, and then it burns the tips and it shows this aspect. And still like immature because the spines grow a little longer. Notice the margin, it's kind of gelatinous and bluish, like glassy bluish, yeah. It likes deciduous trees. And now it's very common.
I was going to ask, you said you think that the red tips are from frost?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not that it stains or anything like that.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. And this one was found on March 2 of 2018. And it's beyond, oh no, it's very mature. It's just going to being decaying, starting to decay. But I found that it was really big. I put my hand in there to give you an idea of the size, and it was growing on very rotten wood and wet, near like a swampy area. So Ganoderma sessile, I show you the pore surface. Sessile means that it doesn't have a stipe, a foot or a stem. And the white part is a crust that is parasitizing it.
All right.
Cool. What kind of wood was that found on, Marisol?
It's deciduous, but I couldn't tell which one.
Yeah, I have a spot where I find it on soft maple, like silver
yeah.
maple.
In other places, yeah, it's on maple, swamp maple. But I couldn't tell about this one because it was, I could not recognize it, but I remember that in other places, it was even on a standing maple. There was
Standing maple that's still alive. I found that.
at the base. Yep. You're
Yeah,
right.
near the bottom, like a few feet up.
No, me never high up. It's close to the
Oh.
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, I found it maybe like 5 feet up off the ground. Big, thick
Oh.
silver maple.
Oh no, not me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to the base.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty clear what it is when you find it because it makes shelves and there's no, like you said, there's no stems.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just remember something. In this case, in this type of trees, it's always like in the lower part. But in these oak trees, I showed this observation before. In this, there is a block near my house with very ancient oak trees. It goes high up, like 5 feet, from the bottom to 5 feet up. The Ganoderma sessile.
yeah, there's
that's the way I see it.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
my neighbors have a pin oak that's alive that's being eaten by
Yeah.
sessile, and that's the way it starts. It kind of like starts like down in there's crevices at the bottom, but it's working its way up, and
Yep.
it'll fruit like 3 to 4 feet up.
Like
That-
a continuous
Yeah.
body. Yep.
Like dozens of them, and that tree actually, I'm watching it slowly die. I told him he should probably really do something about it, but
Yeah.
it's right by his house.
These oak trees in the block near my house, they are looking so bad. And every year this comes back because it's annual.
Now, you know that the one that I'm talking about, it's mostly that sessile on there, but we found another Ganoderma on there in the same, like right next to it. They were like right up against each other. Matt Schenk actually found it. I looked at this tree a dozen times and never noticed it. And he walked right up to it and snapped off another piece. And it was, I think it was Curtisii. He was like, oh, look, there's Curtisii growing right with it.
Lobatum?
No, I think it was Curtisii. I think so. If I
No,
recall.
another Ganoderma.
Another Ganoderma, yes. Yes.
Because I found it in the pine barrens. So there was Ganoderma sessile growing at the base of a maple, swamp maple, and next to it, and even connected to the Ganoderma sessile, there was Ganoderma lobatum. I got photos. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it seems like they're somewhat tolerant of each other, huh?
Yeah, that's interesting that two species of the same genus colonize the same substrate.
Yeah, I thought so too. But it was Matt Schenk. He's like the Ganoderma guy. He was confident, and once he pointed it out, it was pretty obvious. So, all right, cool. Well, thanks, Maricel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dorothy's vacation pics.
Okay, I was in Florida, no fleshy mushrooms, but lots of lichens. And the area I was in, the road is lined with these beautiful, tall royal palm trees. And on them is this fruticose lichen, which I do believe is Ramalina, possibly Americana. And you can find that here in New Jersey as well. So a fruticose lichen is kind of like a shrub, or can be dangling like a beard, but it's only attached to the substrate at the base. The next one, also on the royal palm, is something called hematoma, probably Persunii. And heme, of course, refers to blood. So the apothecia, which is a word we know from most ASCOs, are red in this case with a rim that's the same color as the thallus. So these are quite small on these palm trees. The next pictures, I happened to be on a boat ride and in Naples Bay, and it docks and lets you go up onto this island And, you know, it's not got any houses on it. It's just a woods, and you can walk across a path and get to the ocean side. But I want you to see that although you see these white areas here, and often you find this on rocks, this happens to be like the hematoma, crustos lichens. So they're firmly attached to the substrate. But these are not all the same. And each different species is actually producing chemicals next to another one that create this black border around. So all of these are different individuals and most likely different species. So they have border wars. Next. Just some more of the same, but probably different species. I have no idea what these crustos lichens are. In order to identify them, you do have to get a piece off the tree by taking a chunk of the tree, and then by making very, very thin slices through the apothecia or the perithecia to see the spores. So whether they're a single spore or two-celled or three-celled, different shapes, but that's the first step in the identification. So I'm not very good with crustos lichens. I know the leafy ones, foliose, and the fruticose ones here in New Jersey. Next. So just these beautiful patterns, and you see these walls between the species. It just makes for a very pretty picture, I think, anyway. So the next, and that's all I have to show. But so one thing about lichens, though, you can find them in March, and you can find them all year long. So that's all I have.
Awesome. Thanks, Dorothy. I read somewhere a little while back they were talking about down in the rainforest how it was thought that lichens were very uncommon or just less common in the rainforests of South America until somebody took a UV light up against a tree, and all of a sudden they all started glowing like a lot of them do under the UV, and it looked like this. The trees looked like this, but you just couldn't see them. They just weren't visible to the naked eye, and the trees were just completely covered in them.
Right, and those UV, you can go Costa Rica UV lichens, Google that search, and then you'll see that the difference between a daylight shot and the night with UV light. And so for something like this that's on the screen, all different colors of phosphorescence or bioluminescence under the UV, and so purples and oranges and yellows and blues, incredible variety, all indicating different species. Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy.
The one picture reminded me of a border map of Eastern or Western Europe. It was crazy.
Right.
Dorothy, I have a question for you. Where were you in Florida?
Naples, near Naples.
Oh, okay.
Right off Route 41 Tamiami Trail, where the Royal Palms were there, near the road that goes off to Marco Island.
Okay, my parents have a place in Naples. That's why I was asking. I was just down there in February, so.
The other tree border pictures were from an island in Naples Bay. You get a deck boat out of Tin City.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of it? Kiwayunda Island. But it's and I got two beautiful butterflies on that island too.
Oh, cool.
Great. Thanks, Dorothy.
You're welcome.
All right, Susan.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. These were all found today, fresh. This was the second one I saw of 5 in a general area. You see the snow, Sarcosoma globosum. This one was a little bit frozen, but that will not deter it from growing. The center part, the black part, will eventually get bigger and the whole thing will swell up more with water, a little bit at least. And that's where the spores will form as an ascomycete, like in the inside of a cup. But I thought it was, I've been over there a couple times in the last couple of weeks just to see how much the snow had melted. And it's a south-facing slope, so I knew they were going to be coming up soon. But I'm pretty excited that the 30th of March, we've got mushrooms. An interesting one at that. The next one is one that was a little bigger, a little further along the trail, maybe another 1/4 mile or so. And it's already, you know, that's a good 2.5, 3 inches across, even though the black center part is not. But that will be eventually where it will form its spores as it kind of opens out and flattens. And that'll be in about 3 weeks, I would suspect, depending on the weather. And they're just the funniest looking little things. But I like to go over and count them and spot them. I don't pick them. Although there was one near this one, there was a couple that were already turned up by some animal that was nibbling on them. I've had that before in that particular spot, that they get sort of turfed out of their little spots. And then the other 2 were just, you know, kind of boring things that it was nice to see them alive. Now I would call this Bispirella citrina, but somebody else, I don't even know what the new genus, Cali something, but still citrina, the little tiny yellow cup fungi. And these are not even 1/8 of an inch across. And this was actually in several different logs that were all Norway spruce. The whole area is Norway spruce.
They don't look like caps to me.
They
It
don't.
could be some tremella.
No, they're
Or on what wood?
they're about not even 1/8 of an inch. They're like little. You can see in the one in the center there is a little tiny stalk, and then it flattens out on top. So they are little tiny cups. Yes, Dorothy put the name of the previous one.
It might be a good idea to try to get some spores on these,
Yeah,
because
that's
there's a
true.
few
Well,
other little
yeah.
yellow things.
Yeah, I know there are several, but up here there doesn't tend to be a lot of variety, but I was kind of just excited to see that there was something alive and coming out now.
Oh, yeah. You know, that first thing you showed, when it was really small, I didn't write down the name because that's something I don't know. But the really young one that was small and had the black little center,
Yeah,
to me, it looks, that could be, how big is that all the way across?
it's about 1 inch.
Okay, that's bigger than, I was going to say one might confuse this with pseudoplectonia, which also comes up in spring.
Yeah,
And-
those tend to be blacker, the ones I see. I've run.
Yeah, those are blacker and they're not as big as that
No,
either.
this is definitely the sarcosoma.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I believe you. I just wanted to point out the potential for confusion, but this is bigger than that. Those are really small. Yeah, those are only like a half, approaching a
1/4 of an inch,
centimeter.
1/4 of an
Maybe.
inch. I just say with these, I'll probably indulge you the next couple of weeks just because I have such fun watching these things.
Oh, it'd be great to see that. Yeah.
Well, and
See
here
how
this
they
is-
develop.
Well, it's swollen and smooth around the outer surface of it, but as it goes, it will get more wrinkly, and as it sort of fills out, it will not stay as smooth. And then when it starts to shrivel up, which will be about 4 or 5 weeks from now, it gets really wrinkly like the end of a dog's muzzle. And
Right.
by
Well,
that point, the black part will sort of flatten out and will have thrown its spores.
right. Well, that other picture you showed of the more mature one looks nothing at all like Pseudoplectonia, but
It's
the
not
young,
even mature. That's the thing.
oh, that's not even mature. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Oh,
yeah.
looking forward to seeing more then. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
If I'm lucky, I'll be able to find the same one and photograph it. I always say I'm going to mark them in the woods, but I just don't like it if they're not really where people are going to come and see them. It's just that I don't like to leave anything man-made in the woods, you know. Anyway, there's one more picture which is not exciting at all, but something that's very common here. I still call it the Fomitopsis panicola, but we may have a different American name of moosei or moosian, moose something or other. But it's real common here. And the one thing about this one, besides it's so beautiful, I went over and felt the bottom of it, and it is coming to life. It's starting to put out a new layer of tubes underneath. And for the end of March, I think that's pretty astounding for a perennial polypore to be starting that early to put out a layer of tubes. And this,
Yeah, up there where you are, certainly.
yeah, well, yeah, right. We had a week of above freezing, 45 to 50. Yeah, old name Fomitopsis panicola. When the NAMA thing was here in 2019, they were using a name that started with Moucie or something.
That's
Mounciae.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fomitopsis mouciei.
You know what I
So-
read about that name? I thought this was interesting. It's named after a woman. I'm pretty sure this is the right one. It's named after a woman who worked for like the Canadian Forestry Service about 100 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And she had observed repeatedly that she thought that this was a different species than some of the other ones that they had saw. And nobody would listen to her because she was just some woman, back then. And of course, they didn't take her seriously because she was a woman. But she documented all this stuff, and the notes survived. And somebody very recently found these notes and realized that she was the first one to make the observation. So they named it after her.
I haven't looked up where panicola who named that from what country, and that may have something to do with it. But that was another thing. I think it's Overholtz. I have that book from 50 something years ago. He divided up a lot of those things that we sort of lump together now. So it could be, the name was there all the time, just nobody paid any attention to it. But anyway, it's so beautiful when it comes out with its new growing surface. That one has particularly good color. That's all I have.
Great. Thanks, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Nina and John. Are they with us yet? I thought I saw John B's name pop up.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Nina.
Hi. I think this is a pseudo Enonotus dryadus. I found it in a kind of peculiar, it was with oak pine, and it was the base of a pine, and it's not supposed to grow with pine, it's supposed to grow with oaks, but apparently in some places it does grow under conifers. And what struck me was the color. It was really, really bright, and it's kind of globby looking, sort of felt like styrofoamy, kind of dry. But so I said, threw it in my bag, and this was all I could find. There wasn't a heck of a lot out there. So I said, okay. Came back home, and then I looked at the microscope, and it was quite a different story under the microscope. So that's what it looked like on, take it not in situ. Oh, there was all sorts of, and there was a little fly in it, and there was some springtails and all sorts of animals inside of it, which is probably why it's in the condition it is. There's a little fly. I don't know what that fly is. That fly I could only see when I looked under the stereoscope. Couldn't see it with the naked eye. Tiny. Okay. And then the next font shows the microscopic stuff. Okay, so this is under a 40. See, it has the setae. It has curved setae like that, kind of the.
Yeah.
And that's what, and they're real big, and it's set on the pseudo-feline, a pseudo-innonotus, that it gets, that when you put KOH on, it turns instantly black, which it did, and that it has these setae, which are 40 or above, and they were really, really, really big, and that's not the full power there. And they're hooked like that. So that's, and this one I took from, I actually turned the bottom light off and put it above on a microscope slide, and then you can still see the setae on this thing, and this is at 10x.
At these things.
Yeah. So that's my guess. If somebody's got a better idea. It was kind of old, and I guess I'll go back. I'll try to find it again when it's this year, later on. But maybe somebody's got an idea.
What can you say about the pseudo-innonotus? Is that for the whole genus or just for?
Oh, that used to be Innonotus
Striatus.
And
Yeah,
now
but-
it's pseudo. No,
Yeah.
just that one. I think it's just that one is.
Oh, there's something different about just this particular one, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
There's
If-
a specimen, and I'm talking about, it's probably 1.5 feet wide, and there's a couple of them around a big oak at Sherman Hoffman in Bernardsville. And they've been there, they last for years. The common name was warty oak polypore, but they had a very nice bumpy shelf, but the specimens, it seems that they've aged, but they've been there for years. So I've never seen this color though.
Yeah, this was bright orange, but maybe it's something different. I don't know. It seemed a little odd.
It's probably just, they've probably started calling it pseudo-inonotus, probably just based on DNA.
Yeah.
It's just clade away from the other inonotus. But it definitely, inonotus has these big setae, like you pointed out.
Right.
Luke, who's doing that work? Do you know?
Not off the top, not off the top of my head. I think who does do a lot. Rivardin still does some of that work, and Joseph Vlasic from Czechoslovakia. But there's people here in the United States that are doing some of that stuff too.
I'm just curious.
If I think of it, or if I find their names, I'll pass it on.
So I just threw it in because I don't know whether that's really what it is, but it was just a blob when I picked it, and then when you look in the microscope, it's much more interesting. So I don't know.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I threw together 5 observations, but only one of them's from this year. The other 4 were found this week, last year, this coming week. I couldn't really find very many March observations. It seems like I don't get out in the woods much in March, which I'm finding is the same this year. I always get really busy at work right in the beginning of spring and have to put my hiking on the back burner. But I did get out over the weekend, and then I found this, and I see Dave already identified it for me, which I'm happy because I couldn't quite place it. I know I'd seen it before. But, so Dave just put Tubaria furfuracea on this.
Yeah, it might be a species group, common during mild winters, early springs. I think this might be the only, quote, species, end quote, because it's probably more than one thing, that I found during all 12 months of the year. Maybe not July. I'd have to check that. but it's basically a cold weather mushroom. It's a saprobe, grows on woody debris. Usually it's got gills that are not real close, yellowish or ochre spore print. When you learn it, you can identify it without a lot of trouble. It's just most people don't look for mushrooms, at the time of the year when you typically find this, which around where I am is usually either February or March or November, and sometimes right through the winter. But I think that's what that is. The spores are kind of distinctive. They usually have an oil drop in them, and they're kind of when they're profiled correctly, when you mount them, sometimes they're kind of like kite shaped. So I guess asymmetrical is what you would say, but I'm pretty sure that's Tubaria furfuracea.
Okay. Yeah, they were growing out of the end of a stick. It doesn't show up that well on here, but it was actually a little, twig that was about, a couple 2 inches across, small
Yep.
branch, and they were
Yep,
growing
yep.
right out of the end, and they were pretty small. These things are 2 inches tops.
Yep. Yeah, there's another Tubaria species that I think they call it like branch twiglet or something. But I think Hiemalis maybe, Tubaria hiemalis maybe, something like that. There might be another name out there as well. I think they've been merged via DNA, but I'm not sure about that. But it's Tubaria. It's some sort of Tubaria.
Okay.
They look like Furfuracea to me, but the other ones don't look all that different. Now there's other sections of Tubaria where the mushrooms look quite a bit different. So these are all Hiemalis, Furfuracea. There might be another one I'm forgetting. They're in the same subgenus or section or whatever, and they look pretty similar. Yeah, it's always fun to find them though, because you'll find them like during thaws, like I find them around here in February sometimes when you really don't expect to see anything.
Yeah, it was fun to find. I mean, it was exciting to find these. I'd already walked this trail once, and I was coming around on a second loop, and there they were. So that was the first gilled mushroom I've actually seen in quite a while. So these other ones.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Luke.
No, you go ahead. I was moving on to the next one.
Yeah, I found a gilled mushroom the other day, and I'm going to have to leave the session and come back in a little while, so I can finish my email to you. But that's why I saw your Tubaria, because I was in the process of making a few posts.
Well, you better hurry up, because I don't know if anybody else has anything to share. So, okay, well, these next 4 that I have are all from last year. So this is Saraporia Proporia, which I found on March 31st of last year. So one day shy of a year. And I actually find that I find this quite often in the cool weather around here in the greater Philadelphia area. Whenever it's cool and wet, I seem to find this, and it's often under logs. So it's this racupinate polypore, so it's always flat. I never see any caps on it. Often whitish, but it will always have this purplish tinge to it. And as it gets older, so this is the youngest part right here, the white, and as it ages, it gets a little darker, and finally kind of ages out with this like purplish, darkish color. And like most of the Saraporias that I see, it's got these kind of angular, misshapen pores. They don't seem to form really very follow any rules when they're forming. I see some of them are actually kind of elongated, and it tends to be pretty soft. Like I could like scrape this off with my fingers. Okay, there we go. This one's older. This was actually with KOH on it. So I had forgotten this until I actually looked at this observation. But KOH makes it turn dark cherry red. And then I have a horrible picture of the spores, but the spores are pretty distinct, and they actually, for a polypore, it's pretty easy to get spores out of them, but they're really narrow and elongated. I think they call that alanoid, an alanoid shape. I think that's what they call that. So these elongated shapes are the spores.
The fruiting bud is kind of gelatinous, yeah?
Yeah, I guess you could call it gelatinous, like soft and kind of squishy.
Yep. And
Yep.
when you make preparations, it's full of like matter, like gelatinous matter floating around.
Yeah, maybe that's why my pictures are so horrible. My picture of the
You know how to fix that? You put KOH, so it clears a little bit.
oh yeah, but what about when the KOH turns it stains it? Because in this case it stains it red.
Oh, I don't know, but I do it after I have the preparation. I am looking at the microscope, then you add the KOH there to clear stuff, so you will have a clearer picture.
Okay, that's a good tip, because yeah, I guess you're right. That's what all this you can see it's got all this gunk in
a
there.
lot of matter in there. Yeah.
Because I actually have a couple other observations of this, and I was looking for a better picture of the spores, and all my shots look like this. And my microscope's kind of cheap and a little on the dirty side, but it's not this bad. Okay, so this one I actually do find pretty often, the Saraporia Proporia. Like I said, whenever it's cold and wet, spring and in the fall. This one I find pretty often in the same type of weather. Porinus Crocadis. They used to call this Rigiporus Crocadis.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. It feels really hard to detach.
Yeah, when it gets dry, it's super hard.
Mm-hmm. And it bruises.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't look like much when you first look at it. It's just kind of this orangey resupinate polypore. Yeah, and it has stains or bruises.
Mm-hmm. And it's perennial. And each new layer is smaller than the last one, so it looks like a topographic map.
Yeah, I think one of my pictures might show something like that. So there's one that's really fresh. Look, there's something on there eating it. So this was kind of on the underside of a log, but you can see, it's white there, but you can see this where it's a little bit older here. It's getting that orangey color.
That edge.
Yep, there you go. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
See, this is the older section. All this brown in there, and then this is the fresh stuff on top of it. Yeah, see the scratches in it. So it's bruising from me just taking my finger or a knife and scraping it. And this was really well rotted hardwood, I would presume. I don't think there's much conifer back there. So yeah, so I guess they called it Rigiporus in the past because when it dries, it's like bone hard, and that's in the description. Like you bang it on your desk, and it's it sounds like a rock on your wood. Okay, so that should be out and about now. And then so black Morel. So we're not quite. Last year I found this on April the 5th here in Philadelphia, right on the edge of Philadelphia. So I call this Morchella Angusta steps. Somebody else threw this other section distantes in there, but I'm not really sure what that means. So I only have one little picture of it, but that was in this week coming up. I found it last year in a place I never expected to ever see this trashy abandoned road near my house.
Wow.
Just like like long abandoned, like years and years. Like it's not even on the city maps anymore. It's in part of a park, but they never tore up the pavement, and it's just the plants are just like crushed on the pavement, and it was growing kind of up and through there.
was so dark on the ground? Pieces of wood or burned stuff or what?
It's probably burnt stuff because
Oh.
people start fires back there. It's a terrible area back there.
It's probably what it likes.
It could be,
There
yeah.
again, right?
I mean, I'm not kidding you. I found I didn't eat any of these because there was an abandoned car engine nearby that somebody had been kicking around all spring last year and tearing it apart, like a whole engine of a car just laying back there. But I found a lot of mushrooms back there. That's where I found that. That's where I found that Saraporis back there. Saraporis was back there too.
Well, Luke, you just found this Morel?
No, I found this last year on April 5th.
That's pretty. That's
That was after a really warm March last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like a typical Injustice Seps to me, really.
Yeah, that's what I called it.
Yeah.
Injustice Seps. That was last year, this week. So I started out by saying I haven't been out much at all this year, so I haven't found too much. So I was looking
Okay,
at what
so I just sent you an email that hopefully it went through. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll look it up. And the last one I have is this one, which is super common, which I think I have actually seen this already this year. Basidium Simile. I think I have that name right. I only have one photograph of it on this observation.
That's it.
Right. So this is that like crusty stuff that just grows on the super rotted hardwood logs, like the big logs, like the trunks of trees, fallen trees. And when you touch it, you have the brown candidiospores all over your hand. And I wish I had found the one that actually had photographs of the candidiospores because they're really big, like 20 microns wide, and they form these chains.
I just found it.
You just found it? Yeah.
And I did the micro, and the spores are humongous, and they look like a lemon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lemons that like connect to each other, right?
Some. Yeah.
Some, yeah. Yeah, so this is super common. I find this, and I guess not just in the spring, but like anytime when it's cooler, it seems like it's growing in like big swaths of it, like 5-6 feet long by 3 feet tall, just like covering the whole sides of these rotted oaks and maybe tulip poplars. That's what tends to be back there, big gigantic oaks and poplars. So, all right, so hopefully I'll get out a little bit more this week. Start finding some more of this stuff. So let's see. Let's look up what Dave just sent me. There you go. Oh, is there a Nina Edwards here? Did you send me something?
I did.
Oh, great. Okay, so we'll go through here and then I'll jump into yours, okay?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dave, you ready?
Yeah, I found some Flammulina, which people think of as the winter mushroom, but I find more of it in spring than I do in winter.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's Flammulina volupes, probably is, but I know I do have my doubts about there being just this one species. But this is as you go through the pictures here, Luke, you'll see it's a gilled mushroom, growing on wood. Gills are a little bit wide and sparse for what I usually think of as Flammulina volupes, and there's not a lot of darkness on the stipe base. A little bit though. The spores, well, there's a really wide range reported for spore lengths and dimensions in general for Flammulina volupes. So I don't know if I posted the my dimensions that I got here, but you see some of them are pretty long. Some of them are not quite as long. Now that might just be perspective. It might just be the way they're aligning. But actually, if you look at the literature on Flammulina volupes, you'll see there's a wide variation in reported spore dimensions. This is in Congo red, so they're a little bit stained. So these are white spored mushroom. So I usually stain the spores. I'll get a spore print and I'll put stain on it, and then that's the way I mount it. And that's what I look at under the scope. So it probably Flammulina volupis. So I was just kind of, happy to see it, because first newly fruited gilled mushroom, because these were new. These were clearly, to me at least, not, they weren't just overwintered fruit bodies. On the other hand, I've got another one here, a gilled mushroom that possibly did overwinter, and that's this Philoptopsis nigilans. These were probably pretty old. For anyone out there, I'm not sure who's actually there now, but anyone out there who is interested in looking for oyster mushrooms in the spring, you should at least, if you don't already know about this, have it in the back of your mind. Because it looks a little bit like an oyster mushroom. It's colored differently. But these taste bad. They will ruin a meal if you try to put them into something. They're not really a spring species. They're a fall and early winter species. And these probably overwintered. They tend to persist quite similarly to Panellus stypticus, but these are a lot bigger than Panellus stypticus. I didn't do any analysis on these. I probably should have, just to be able to back up what I'm saying here. But I'm pretty sure these are just old Philoptopsis nigilans.
Yeah, they certainly look like it.
Yeah, that I'm pretty sure that's what those are. I think I posted at level that's what it is. But anyway, there's a few other things here.
Do you ever?
One thing I'm not sure of, and one thing that maybe somebody can help me with, because I really don't know what it is. But this Philippia, I think this is Philippia Tremolosa. It's just like not the usual way that you find it. Usually you find it in shelves, overlapping shelves.
That's
And
not
these are like, you
that's
think that,
no, it's Gloeoporus dicrows.
I'm sorry, Marisol, could you run that by me again?
I'll write it on the chat. Gloeoporus dicrows.
Oh,
Yeah.
so this
I'm
is something
writing.
different.
Yeah.
It's rubber band fungus.
I wrote it on the chat. It's a
right.
it's a
Yeah,
polypore. Sorry, it's a
Oh,
polypore.
really? Gloria? No, I thought I knew what that is.
Yeah, because Philippia wouldn't have pores, right?
And no caps.
Well, no, that's the usual thing. But look at the spores. I got a picture of spores here.
Yeah, that's Gloeoporus.
Okay, all right, I got it. I'll look it up later. I believe you, because it doesn't look that much like Philippia Tremolosa, really.
Yeah, I mean that does look right for Gloeoporus for the pore surface.
No, I think I'm confusing Gloeoporus with something else.
This is the one
What's
like
that Guild Polypore thing?
This is what Sam Rishnik called the rubber band polypore.
Yeah, it's rubbery.
You're thinking of
that's why I thought Philippia.
You're thinking of Gloeophyllum. Right?
Oh, Gloeophyllum. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Okay.
That's the one with that's that's kind of gill-like.
Yeah, Gloeo. Yeah. Oh, that's the one that's gill. This Gloeophyllum is the one that's gill-like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. So this is
Gloeophyllum. Okay, Gloeophyllum. I see.
Yeah, I could never resist this one when I see it. I have to tear them apart just to watch them stretch, to do the rubber band thing.
The pores separate from the cap, I think.
Okay. It had a rubbery texture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so the spores matched up pretty well with Philippia, which was kind of interesting. They were like 4 micron, 4 by 1, 4 by 1.
It's got the crystals in it too. That's a Gloeoporus thing.
Oh, okay.
The crystals
all
embedded.
Right, thank you. Sounds good. Gloeoporus. All right, well, noted. We'll change the proposal. It's one reason why I really wanted to get these on, because I wanted to know what this was. And this last thing, I don't know what this is. Some resuppinate polypore sort of thing, which I just put on Mushroom Observer usually. I'll just call these things Poria sensu latu, which means like, okay, it's got pores. Yeah. And it's like stuck to some wood. And
we know what this one is, don't we?
I thought you guys might know this one.
Isn't it the one we were just looking at?
I didn't notice any staining or anything on my fingers. When
It looks like the one you found, the one you showed. Look,
Yeah, the
yeah, I thought it
Crocadis.
might be actually when you
this
showed
is
that.
Porinus Rigidoporus, whatever name.
Yeah, Rigidoporus Crocadis. I can't remember that new name.
Crocatus.
Ridgopores?
Crocatus.
How do you spell that Ridgopore? Is there a D in there? Or
Like
no?
rigid, Rigidoporus.
Oh, no D. Rigidoporus.
Crocatus.
I'll find it. Now I've got more details here on this.
Yeah, look at the margin. Look at the margin. It's what we were talking about, that with the new layers are smaller.
The margin. You know what? The other one. I found another one as well, which I thought was the same thing. I didn't get any spores to drop out of this one, but I did a little attempt at micro on it, and I found some kind of thing that looks like. This actually looks like it might be a Basidia.
No, Basidia is too narrow.
Because it looks like there were two spores attached to it.
Oh, but it's too narrow for a Basidia. Too long.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
narrow.
Yeah. Well, I'll just take your word for it because I don't know what this is. I'm just making some guesses here. Yeah. Okay. Now I found another one that I thought was the same thing, and the other one has even a more sort of prominent a pale margin. So you see the pale margin. Yeah. See on the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's what that is. Then I guess I got spores out of this one. I laid it out and spores dropped. So you can see some spores. And I think I might have a little better micro in general on this one. But it looked like it was probably the same thing. So,
Look, the old name is Rigidoporus, or that's the new name?
That's the old name.
Oh, the new one is Porinus?
Yes.
what's the new one? How does that one? Could you type it in or something?
PHY.
Oh, PHY. PHY.
This SIS. I'm going to see the micro.
Okay.
Rigi.
Yeah.
Rigi. Oh, it's not in this book. Oh.
Yeah, the spore. I got a nice spore print out of the one, and the spores were kind of. What we just saw them there. They were kind of.
Here, Dave. If you want to see the name.
Real long.
See the name there? That's how you spell it.
Okay, I got the beginning. That's good enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll find it later.
It's not in this book. No, it's not in this book.
It's in
not very good there.
It's in the North American Polypore book, the Rivarden book.
See,
I don't have that book. Yeah, I need to get that book.
You can download the PDF from Microweb. It's out of print.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
Oh,
look, this one has the same thing, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's got another one of these, like I guess they're like cystidia or something, probably. I don't know.
because there are so many names, yep, for those types of cystidia.
Yeah. So I didn't work real hard on it, but I tried to slice off a little bit and mount some stuff, and that's pretty much what I found. But I got a spore drop, so that's always very useful.
Yeah, that's always a big deal with a polypore.
Yeah, sometimes I'll lay a polypore out. I'll lay it out for like you know, maybe 4 days, 4 or 5 days, and finally a few spores drop out.
Wow.
Sometimes. This one was very cooperative though. It's only after a day, you know, I
Yeah.
could see a spore print.
I think so much with polypores, you just have to catch them at the right time of the year because they, you know, this will be here, that'll be there for months probably. And if you,
I find that during periods of thaw, warm up, like early spring, they seem to revive
Mhm.
and put out spores. I've found that with more than one type of polypore.
Rigidiporus is perennial.
Mhm.
Mhm.
All right, very good. Okay,
Cool.
I'll track it down and get all the names together and change my proposal. Yeah, there's the spores. Yep. Well, thank you. Yeah,
Awesome.
I was hoping, that's why I wanted to really make sure I got the email out to Luke, because I wanted to see if anybody could tell me what that was. And I figured you all would know this.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So we have Nina, and then looks like Juan sent me something too. That's great. And then is there anybody else that's I'm not seeing that wants to share? When I'm sharing the screen, I don't see the chat very easily. So if there's anybody else that wants to share, just speak up. So Nina, this is you.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a new member, so I'm totally new at mushrooming, and
Welcome.
this is my first meeting with you all. So I look at this and be like, duh, this is X, but I have no idea. So I'm just learning all these wonderful fungi. So I found this today on a hike, and it's, as I'm learning just from you guys, it's probably overwintered because it couldn't have grown there, I suppose, in the wintertime. And this is the tree that I found it on.
Do you know what tree is that?
I would imagine it's a birch, but I'm only guessing because I'm not really.
Good photo documentation from
It
the
has-
habitat to the upside to the underside. You've got Tremites betulina here.
No,
Tremites,
no Trametes betulina.
betulina, yeah.
No Trametes.
The Birch Polypore.
It's
And-
the
Yeah,
birch
it's
polypore?
been transferred into
It
Tremites.
is now Trametes?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
used to be Piptoporus.
used to be in its own little genus, but it's been merged into Tremites now. Yep.
No.
Fomitopsis.
Yeah, Fomitopsis.
Oh, is it
Fomitopsis.
Fomitopsis?
Yeah,
There-
Trametes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
There
I
is
know
a,
it got changed.
there is
There
a,
is Trametes populina, but it's something else. With
Oh, that's the guild polypore.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
right.
Yeah. All right. Okay,
Just
my
the
bad.
species name
Yeah.
is confusing it. Yep.
It's the birch polypore.
The pore surface here has discolored, but when it's fresh, it's usually white.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
not
it's,
so textured. Not
because
very
it's March.
textured like this.
yeah, so this grew, like, as you suggested, this grew last year, like late summer or something, into the fall, and has hung on there all year long. So when it was fresh, as they were pointing out, it would be white in here.
Cool. So
Very
does it fall off eventually, or does it, like someone mentioned, there are perennial polypores? Does that grow over the birch, or just it falls off and then no one grows?
New ones might form, but they'll be brand new, maybe on the same tree.
Got it.
The old ones just sort of sit there until the weather or animal or whatever will beat them off. But the same tree will probably produce new fruit bodies for next year. I'm not sure when they start down where
Are
you.
they annual then?
Hmm?
Are they annual?
Annual, yes.
Annual?
Yes.
Oh, they're
Yes.
annual. Okay.
I'm asking. I'm not saying. I am asking.
That's a good question. I'm not
Yeah.
sure
They do
because they
what?
hang around for a long time.
They
Yeah,
do
but they
because-
don't grow new pore surface on the same fruit body.
So they're not perennial.
Right.
Very good. Thank you, Susan.
They can come out on the same tree, but they will be new fruiting bodies each year. I see this
No,
here. I have a lot of white birch around me.
Birches
I never-
also,
may I say something? But I
But-
never have found one that grows on an old fruiting body. Never.
No,
Right,
it doesn't do that.
I thought you said that.
No,
no,
it will grow
not-
on the same tree with new fruiting bodies, but not the same fruiting, a fruit body on a fruit body, no.
Yeah, okay. But I have a little comment to make.
Yeah, they
There
come
was
out of the
this-
same tree, but in different parts of the tree.
Okay.
I've seen that too.
Go ahead,
Birches-
Go ahead, Maricel. Finish your comment.
And that I was feel curious about this because a few months ago, I went to a different park and I found a very huge birch tree. And I don't know if it depends on how mature the tree is, but these polypores were like 20 centimeters wide. I never found one so giant. So maybe the growth is really quick.
I've had them this big.
Oh my goodness, 20 centimeters. I could not believe my eyes.
It depends on whether they get good rain, wet when they're growing.
Oh.
They're this big, but then they can be this big.
I can't see anything. I don't see what you're saying. How big?
Can you not see my face?
No,
No,
because
no,
I see the photo.
Now, here, go ahead now. So-
Oh, okay. I see you now. Yeah. Okay.
It's luncheon plate sized. Some of them maybe start to approach dinner plate. If it's good.
Yes, I could not believe
Yes.
my eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, because and the tree was the biggest birch I ever saw.
right.
Yeah, I
was
saw some like
solid.
that last year.
Huh.
Birches, as a rule, are short-lived trees.
I mean, down
Yeah.
south us, yeah.
And when they're dying, this is a common fungal polypore that grows on them.
Yeah. I mean, once I asked Roy Watling, who's a mycologist from Scotland years ago, does it start as a pathogen parasite on the birch and then you'll see it on the dead tree and then become a saprophyte? And he said, yes, the same fungus can do both feeding modes.
Right, because that's what I find all the time. You see that the tree is standing with the right weight of the caps, and then it falls down and more grow in
Right.
the saprophytic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Yep.
Face its pore surface to drop the spores down.
Mhm.
And that's a number of polypores do that. Ganodermas do that. Fomies do that. Fomitopsis will do that. If the tree is standing up, the
Mhm.
pores will be this way, but as soon as the tree goes down, the thing changes direction. Maybe in some of those that are perennial can be even on the same fruiting body.
Uh-huh. The geotropism, yeah.
Right.
Growth.
All right, so Nina, I typed the name into the chat for you.
Awesome. I'll write it down. I got the Birch Polypore, and thank you very much for chiming in and giving me some wisdom.
I
Yeah,
love your
and-
voice.
And if you have older field guides, the genus name will probably be different. It will be, what is it?
Pictoporus.
Pycnoporus or
Of course, yeah.
The other thing nobody said is that's one of the mushrooms that Utsi, the Iceman, had on him from the Austria-Italian border, 5,000 years old.
Did they say why he would have had it on him?
Yes,
Dorothy?
yeah, but they believe that the was used either as a medication for intestinal worms, or sometimes in some cultures it was actually used as to sharpen knife points also.
I heard that. Yep.
That's amazing. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that McIlvaine put in his field guide written in like 1899, 1,000 North American fungi, that it was used to sharpen razors, I believe. And I think it's also been used as to apply to a wound where there's a lot of bleeding.
Yes, it's diptych.
To staunch a wound.
And it's used these days to make paper.
Right. Dorothy
Some
makes
people make paper, yeah, in our club.
So it is the most useful non-edible mushroom there is. And actually McIlvaine said it was edible and he said he liked it. So I tried it once.
but McIlvaine ate everything.
Well, I tried it once too on McIlvaine's advice. That was the beginning of my beginning to doubt the usefulness of McIlvaine's advice about
Yeah,
the
'cause it-
edibility of mushrooms because it was not very good.
It's like super bitter, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really bitter.
Yeah, because I've tasted the young ones because I've heard that before too, that people say they like to eat the baby ones, and every time I've ever tasted it, it's just extremely bitter.
And
Some people, predominantly males, apparently lack bitter taste buds
Yeah, so
and
maybe
can
it's good
eat
then.
bitter mushrooms. I have heard stories of people eating like Telepolis thalius, the bitter bolete, and they say it's really good. And most people who have the ability to sense bitter taste could never tolerate that mushroom. So that might be part of it as well.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, thanks,
And-
Nina.
one
Thank you,
quick
guys.
comment. Sam Rishtick would also call the Birch Polypore when it's very young, that it looked like someone stuck a wad of bubble gum on the tree because it just is this little ball.
Yeah, I call them little rubber nubs. When I
It's
first,
like bursting through the wood.
yeah,
Mhm.
they're really fun to watch grow.
All right, Juan. Looks like Juan sent something here.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
I was walking in the woods yesterday and I saw this. This is the underside, but if you go to the other images, I wasn't even sure if this was a mushroom, but because it was like really slimy. But I saw it was like in two different spots, and I wasn't sure what it was. I don't know if you guys had like a better idea. I did a little bit of research and I thought maybe it was like a young snow fungus type.
This is.
Looks like Excidia nucleata. I see in the left.
Oh yeah, I see it
This
better on this picture.
nucleus. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like really slimy.
It was like jelly.
Yeah, it was very jelly-like. And I checked the underside of the bark just to make sure that there was actually like mycelium down there to make sure it was just not like snot or something.
It could be some Excidia nucleata.
Yes, looks like nucleata.
Mhm.
You can see these little portions.
White concentration of some minerals or something like that.
Is that the one when you kind of squeeze it between your fingers, you can feel the little
The
little hard balls inside of it?
Probably because I just found it on Friday and I did the micro, and I took the nucleus, and when you try to smash it, it breaks in million pieces of crystals.
Mhm.
Yep.
So Excidia nucleata.
Excidia.
Yeah, this is the one I'm thinking of. They used to call it mixarium. Yeah, when you squish it in your fingers, you can feel the minerals in it.
Can I get the name on the chapter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Type it in right now. There you go.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. So does anybody else have any more? That was everything that people had sent me. Who wants to share from their screen?
I can share my big Pictoporus betulinus.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see if I can. Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, 1 second. Okay. iNaturalist. Just let me get to the right place, then I can do it. Oh, geez, where is Zoom? All right. Now, oh, geez, I lost the Zoom. There. Okay, now share the screen. iNaturalist and Pictoporus betulinus. Okay, what's that? Maybe it's this one. Oh, yeah. So that was the big one that I was telling you. It's a regular size. This is like 8 centimeters, 9. This is like 15 centimeters, the pen. And here is the other side. The pore side is whitish. And there were so many fruiting bodies. There's the pore surface. I don't know why this polypore presents the pore surface like that. It's regular pores and there are some pointy tips in there. I don't know what creates that. As you can see there. So now this one was really weird. It has like a stipe.
Yeah, these can grow in all kinds of funny shapes. Yeah. Double like this. I might actually have a picture I can show. I'm not very good at this.
Yeah, that was the biggest that I ever found. And look at the one more, if I may.
Yeah.
I found this one in the Pine Barrens a few days ago, and it was like a monster. Look at how deformed it is. The pore surface is right here, and right here. And it has this loop on the top.
Oh, this one does look like it started regrowing again, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, look at how weird the layer of the pores. I don't understand. Yeah, and there is a separation right there at the bottom. That was really something. And this is the same thing underneath.
You know, one of the things about this, because it looks like Homer Simpson. It does.
The what? The what?
Somebody said it looks like Homer Simpson.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. One of the things, you know, with these, I noticed it in Nina's picture, her original picture. When they get old, the pore surface really degrades into teeth.
I showed you one like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now here.
Can I show you a picture?
Yeah, after this one. So look, this is old. Then you can see the edge is like peeling off, and it's lost, like it's grayish, like chalky aspect.
They will change color a lot as they age.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is really old. It even has some kind of hypomysis growing on the left.
And on the top too.
Hey, on the top, yes, you're right. This is from last year. Okay, stop share. All right, you can go.
Luke, can I figure out how to do this?
Well, in the lower part of your screen, there should be a green button that says Share Screen.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll. All right, let's see if this will work.
But should you have your wherever you're going there first?
Yeah, it's on my screen.
Ah, okay.
Oh, you got it.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so this log was down. Okay, this is Newcomb. This is about 9-10 inches across here.
Whoa.
It was a fresh one. And this is one that I picked not from the same log, but this is the undersurface of what this would look like. Okay, really tight, tiny little pores. You can see my fingers where I pulled it off the tree. This is probably one that ended up with Dorothy after I had dried it. And I try and pick them at this stage for her, just because then she knows that they're going to have the glue that helps them hold together in the paper. But this is my basket with 10 inches. Oh, I forget how big this one is, but they were a huge size, these ones. And I didn't take this one because it was along the side of a public path. And I thought other people should enjoy it. But see this little thing here?
Oh, yeah.
Of another one starting out. So anyway, that's just some interesting, I see it all the time. So it's exciting when you see it fresh and big like that.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's 8:30 now. So unless anybody else has anything else to share, I'll just give a couple quick announcements. So next week we're just back to our regular routine of our show and tell as we're going back into the mushroom season. So hopefully we will be finding stuff through the week that we can share. I'm sure there's stuff growing if we get out there and really look. This Friday, April 2nd at 7 p.m., there is a lecture. Jean Lodge, her lecture is titled, "Do we have European wax cap species or are we headed for Euro exit?" So her thing is on a lot of the wax caps that we look at were named after European species. So she's going to address that. So that looks interesting.
Look,
And then, yes.
you said that the next Taxonomy Tuesday is the regular finds that we have, and here I have Introduction to Field ID.
That's coming up. We do have a couple classes coming up, but
Oh, not yet? Not for next?
no, not next
Oh.
week. So you're probably looking at, you must be looking at a really old email.
Oh, yeah, because I got the wrong. Okay. So we're doing just finds for April. Yeah?
Find for April. Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks.
Yep. And there is, so, and as I was saying, there is a lecture this Friday night. So the link went out. Hopefully we can all see that.
Yes. Yeah, I got it
All right, great.
today.
All right, well then, unless anybody else has anything they want to add, I'll bid everyone a good night and see everyone very soon, right?
Thanks.
All right.
Good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.